back to virtual MOSI. So today we're going to be talking something about memory. So we're going to be learning different strategies to help you guys with the beginning of school, or if anyone people are going back to college or anything like that, different ways to help and improve your memory. I know it was just the first week of school, and now we're getting into the second week soon, so you guys are probably starting to needing to learn a little bit of different memory tactics on how to help that. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have 10 different things we're going to talk about today, and how to focus our memories on different strategies. So the first one is going to be focusing your attention on what you are learning. So whenever you are in, whether that be like a science class, math class, English, focus on what the teacher is saying and not your homework for next period or what you learned last period. Just focus on what you are doing at that point in time. It allows us to take what we are learning before, and not what we're actually learning at that moment in time, and put that into our long-term memory. I know that sounds a little confusing because we are focusing on something different than what our brain is processing and putting it into somewhere else. But focus on what you are doing at that point in time. It allows your brain to process the information better. So the next one is going to be avoid cramming your information. So I know when I was in college, I would pretty much study all the time for all of my exams, and that would definitely involve studying right before the exam. Studies show that if you actually study in small amounts throughout the time instead of all right before or a few hours before, your brain is able to process that information a lot better. So that's why we do school and classes in different increments, like hour-longs or 45-minute periods, because you're able to learn that information a lot better instead of just having a full day of math or a full day of science. We would be able to process all that information. So the next one is going to be structure and organize your information. So what that means is whenever you are taking notes or anything like that, make sure you organize them in things that make sense to you. What makes sense to you may not make sense to me, so just make sure that it is going to be concepts that you understand. So what that means is I'm not going to put something, if I'm in science class, something about cells over here with things about bones, because those don't correlate to each other. It's not the same information, so you're going to kind of focus on what makes sense to you and put those together. So the next one is, I'm sure you guys have heard these before. They're often my favorite thing. It's often what I use to remember large concepts or anything like that. It's going to be mnemonic devices. So I have a few of those here for you guys that we're going to go ahead and go over. These are a few of my favorite ones. So right here we have part of the periodic table. It's just the first 20 elements on the periodic table. It's often hard to remember all of the elements in the periodic table because there's so many of them. But there's quite easy way to remember just the first 10, which is going to be hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon. I know all of those are probably familiar to some of you guys. The mnemonic device I like to use for that is Happy Harry leaves Ben's but catches Nano on 4th November. So that sentence doesn't really make too much sense, but the reason why I like it is because it doesn't make sense. So you're able to remember that funny phrase, anything like that, because your brain can remember something like that. It's fun, it's exciting for me, so that's why I like to use those ones. The next one I like to use is for cell division. So this is going to be a little bit upper level math, science, which is the interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. I remember that one by IPMAT. So I is interphase, P, so it just takes the first letter of each one and puts it into there. You can really come up with any fun things for anything that you need to learn like that. I'm sure you have done these in school. Your teachers definitely do like to use them because they're fun to come up with. I know when I was in elementary school, we got to create all of our own, and we had a big contest to see who would win, and that's the one that school would use for the year for that subject. So there's a lot of different ones that you can learn. If you know of any that you use, I know the one for planets is often very common, but that's the one most people generally know. So the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be, our next focus, what is the word I'm looking for? Our next way to focus in on memory is going to be elaborate and rehearse your information. So what that means is whenever you are in class, you're taking small notes, if you are taking notes, but it's not going to be the full information. So what you want to do is read those notes and then also write any other information that you remember from class or from the textbook that relates to that information. Also rehearse, go over it again, and just practice. Read it out loud is another one of those that can go back into a lot of these. Reading out loud actually does help you remember things because it is allowing your brain to process it differently. Instead of just reading it, you're also then speaking it out loud, which allows you to help learn it a little bit better. The next one is going to be related to information you already know. We do this all the time, so this is actually one of the most useful ways for people to remember things. I like to relate a lot of things to animals. So that's one thing I definitely enjoy learning about are different types of animals. So anytime I'm learning a bigger concept, whether that be things through math or physics, I incorporate animals in there in some way. Allows me to remember that information a lot better because it's something I am interested in, especially for things like math and physics. It's a little bit harder for me, but I try to relate it to animals and then I remember it a lot better. So another thing you can do is visualize your concepts. So the way I like to do this is I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a quiz. If you do want to participate, just put your answers into the comments below. So I have right over here on my whiteboard, I have a few different pictures. Some of these may look familiar from our past virtual MOSIs. So what I want you to do is I'm going to give you about 20 seconds to go ahead and remember as much information as you can about these pictures. Okay, so I'm going to let you go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to come back over here. I'm going to move this out of the way so you guys can't see it. Now I'm going to ask you guys a few different questions about the information that you saw there. So one thing is, what is the color of the picture of the eye? What color was the eye? Awesome. Maybe some of you guys got that one. What was next to the cups in the circle with all the colors in it? What was lying next to it? My next question is, what was the color of the blanket the dog had on it? What color was the blanket the dog had? And my last one, how many pictures were there? Okay. Did we get any responses? I know it's a little early, so maybe not. We'll definitely be checking these throughout the day, but I'll go ahead and go over them a little bit. So let me move this back into the picture. So the color of the eye we have right here, it's going to be a brown. Maybe through the camera it may look a little black. Either of those answers are definitely correct. My next one is what was lying next to the cups right here, which is going to be a knife right here. Awesome, if you observe that one. Next one is what color was the blanket with the dog? It's red. And how many pictures are there? There are 6. So, if you guys got those, that is one easy way to try to visualize your concepts. You can do this a lot of different ways. If you're trying to do something like we did over here with the table of elements, you can put different ones up there and try to remember different characteristics of them, or try to just put random ones up there. Give yourself a few seconds to go ahead and observe it, and try to recall which ones you saw. If you got them right, you are slowly learning them a little bit faster in different ways. It gives you a little bit more fun trying to do it instead of looking at a piece of paper and just trying to remember H is hydrogen and C is carbon. It allows you a little bit different ways of trying to remember it, a little bit more fun instead of just staring at a piece of paper. And then my most favorite one is going to be sleeping. Anytime you are taking any information in, anytime you do sleep right after you do learn a lot of information right at night, you are going to allow your brain to process all that information a lot faster. Again, sleeping is one of the most important ways for you to remember most things, so definitely make sure you are getting your appropriate amount of sleep for your age. If you guys do have any questions, I do have our question for next video, which is, what is the connection between rainbows and the way astronomers classify the stars? Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed. That's all I have for you guys today. Bye.